Fala galera do canal, me chamo Juliano e no vídeo de hoje veremos que a mídia internacional fez uma matéria sobre o reflorestamento no Brasil. Então já deixe seu like, inscreva-se no nosso canal para ajudar na divulgação e valeu!
Two sisters have realized their childhood dream. Ana Paula and Flavia Baldieri are growing tree saplings to replenish Brazil's Atlantic forest. Up to 130 indigenous species, many of which are threatened with extinction. A large part of the Mata Atlântica rainforest has been cut down. Shocked by the destruction of their native woodland, the two women founded their own environmental group when they were just teenagers.
The Atlantic rainforest is among the world's most diverse natural habitats. It has a very wide variety of species. It's also one of the most threatened natural habitats. Our work aims to preserve our native forests through protection, restoration, and tree planting.
They started out with great dedication and very little money. But the work has since grown considerably. The biologists now supply the entire region with plants from their nursery. Sales are an important source of income to finance the work of their NGO, Copaiba. Growing about 400,000 seedlings each year is just a part of it. Ana Paula is on her way to plant some of their seedlings, here in the mountainous region of Serra de Mantiqueira, in southeastern Brazil. The area is now dominated by coffee plantations and grazing land for livestock. There's hardly anything left of the original forest, and yet trees play a vital role in preserving groundwater supplies. But efforts to reforest the area depend on the landowners.
The natural sources of water on people's property are slowly drying up. These landowners here no longer have any water. By reforesting, we aim to restore the vegetation cover and rehabilitate the land so that groundwater levels can be replenished.
The farmers only recently purchased their property. 30 years ago, the land was cleared for potato farming and later used for grazing.
This was the spring. That is, water used to flow from here in this direction.
Half of the property is forested. Now the couple wants to bring the forest cover up to the field where they have their organic farm. A few days earlier, Ana Paula and her NGO planted 4,500 seedlings here. Now she's bringing a few fruit trees as well. She says the fruit trees need more space to grow well, so they're being planted in a more open area. The seedlings are hard to see in the middle of the meadow, but within just 2 or 3 years they will have grown into a small forest.
If you have vegetation cover, the ground is protected and there is no erosion. When it rains, a good part of it filters down and fills the groundwater reservoir. That's how we can regenerate the springs.
Ana Paula will assist the farmers for 2 years, until the trees are well established. Her NGO's work is mainly financed via donations and company partnerships. For the farmers, it's free. Now we're covering the soil around the seedling with grass, she explains. This way it can stay moist and develop better. Ana Paula and Copaiba have helped more than 200 landowners restore their forests. But not everyone is up for it at first. She and her organization often have to work hard to convince the landowners. So the NGO has joined forces with a large-scale reforestation program called the Mantiqueira Conservation Project. It's supported by Germany's International Climate Initiative. More than 400 cities, universities, environmental groups, and companies in and around Brazil's Extrema region are involved. Extrema is something of a pioneer in this area, laying down environmental requirements for local businesses and providing bonuses for the farmers.
Here in Brazil, the farmers have always been encouraged to clear the forest to work economically and gain more farmland. Our new message is the exact opposite. They should reduce their grazing land and instead plant forests and be paid for it. The whole thing is financed by local companies who pay contributions to the community in order to neutralize their greenhouse gas emissions.
The authorities in Extrema have set up their own nursery, taking reforestation matters into their own hands. But the need is so great that they also get seedlings from the Copaiba NGO, 10,000 of them just today. The municipality planted the surrounding forest between 8 and 15 years ago on cleared land. It plans to restore 1.5 million hectares of the Mata Atlântica rainforest as part of a conservation plan involving numerous cities, a big step for climate protection in Brazil. The project is also designed to secure the water supply from the mountainous region. It's a vital source of water for Brazil's biggest cities. In Rio de Janeiro alone, which is 450 kilometers away, nearly 10 million people depend on that water. The program has nationwide implications, as one of the original project partners explains.
There is now a bill proposing to pay for conservation-related services. Brazilian society now recognizes that we need to invest in this area, and that both farmers and city dwellers will benefit from it.
The Copaiba sisters set a good example on their property in the Mantiqueira Mountains. Before they owned the land, they reforested it for the previous owners. The property owners were so taken with the results, they later gave them the land for free, as a donation for conservation. Thanks to the forest, water came back to the dried-up spring.
This work is so worthwhile. When we go to a property and the owner tells us the water has returned, it really energizes us to keep up the fight. It's very painstaking work and it takes a long time to see results. But when it happens, it's sensational.
The environmental activists have now planted more than 700,000 trees on over 600 hectares of land, far more than they ever dreamed of when they started out as teenagers.
A river of green runs through the vast urban landscape that is Sao Paulo. 3.2 kilometres long and 100 metres wide, it is a sanctuary for people and wildlife amid a concrete jungle. And it was all planted by one man.
Over the last 21 years, I've planted an average of 2,000 trees a year. That's 41,300 now.
Ilio da Silva is a former food industry executive. In 2003, he had a vision to transform this space, which was then a derelict area, and he began collecting plant cuttings.
This was an abandoned, degraded, dirty area, an example of the city of Sao Paulo.
5 years later, Sao Paulo formally named his project. It became the Ticatira Linear Park, which is today made up of some 160 tree species and at least 45 types of birds. Urban forests are becoming instrumental in building sustainable cities, and the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change has even highlighted the value of green urban areas as key ways to mitigate and adapt to climate change. Sao Paulo is a highly polluted city of some 12 million people, who now benefit from Da Silva's park, which has turned a degraded ecosystem into a thriving one, creating shade and improved air quality. And this is Da Silva's message.
Hug a tree. I would tell you to plant a tree, live with it, talk to it from time to time. It will benefit you. And you wouldn't need to take a sedative to sleep. The sedative is here and it's natural and organic.
Da Silva is now retired and spends his days here, pruning, composting and even planting more seedlings, with the ultimate goal of reaching 50,000 trees.
Então, essa é a segunda matéria que eu trago sobre esse reflorestamento. E esse tipo de matéria merece ser parabenizada porque o Brasil apanha tanto lá fora sobre desmatamento e tudo isso, que quando vemos uma matéria que mostra o contrário, dos brasileiros se empenhando para reflorestar áreas gigantes, é de se parabenizar. Porque a gente está tão acostumado a apanhar que quando vem algo desse tipo a gente fica até meio achando estranho. Achei o vídeo bastante interessante, completo, abordando um tema que muita gente não sabe lá fora, achei de extrema importância. O vídeo foi esse, espero que tenham gostado, deixe seu like, comente aqui no canal o que você achou sobre tudo isso e valeu!